Greetings. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I wanted to talk briefly about something that I think is very crucial to good outcomes when we're working with our clients, and that's making sure that we're working within our clients' values, within their value system, the things that are most important to them, their priorities. The reason I'm making this video is a little while back I had the chance to do some consultation with a well-meaning young therapist I'll just call Jane. And Jane is very dedicated to helping people, and she has a lot of energy, and I really appreciate her as a human being. She said she's a little stuck with a client she was seeing. And she described this client about 10 years older than her. Jane is about 28, 29, and the client is 38, 39. So a female client. And she feels that the depression symptoms, mild depression symptoms the client is feeling is due to her being at home with her family, with her children. And Jane felt that she needs to get out more and interact more. And I think that's probably a good idea. But then she started saying things that she wanted the client to take on a job, to go and work someplace where she can be around other women, and I'm paraphrasing here, but something about to dismantle her adherence to the patriarchy and all these kind of things. And I was listening and I said, Jane, did the client say that? And she said, well, no, but I just think that would be beneficial because she's stuck at home and her husband, he works a lot of hours and he's away. And then, she's kind of subservient to, I'm like, hold on a sec. Let's just say you're true. What you're saying is true, that's right. But what about your client? What are your client's values? It sounds like there's some resistance to getting the job. And she said, yes, my client she won't break out of that patriarchal, I don't know what she called it. And I said, Jane, this sounds more like your values rather than hers. If she's not bringing this up as a problem, why are we creating this scenario and making that a problem? Talk a little more about that. Well, basically, it came down to Jane, who's very well-meaning. Jane, at 28 years old, very career-minded, is in a different stage of her life as this other lady who's almost 40 years old, has children, and her highest priority, her highest value is her family. So obviously, taking time away from her family, if that's her highest value, there's going to be some resistance to that. And Jane couldn't see that because she was so focused on this narrative that it happens apparently in Jane's mind, and not taking into consideration her client's values. The reason I'm telling this story is that we all get stuck, kind of like Jane does sometimes, well-meaning and trying to see a bigger picture and getting people to do and interact and think in ways that maybe we may think are beneficial to them, but might not be so beneficial to the client because it's outside their value system. So in this case, this woman client with the children, her life had changed over the last 10 years to where family, being with the children, was the most important value. So if we say, well, push that value aside, the thing that's most important, you just forget about it and do these other things which will help you feel less depressed or down, or that there's going to be a disconnect there. So I just recommended, well, I'm sure there's other activities she could do that won't feel like she's so disconnected from her highest value, her family. There's different volunteer work she could do, maybe tying it to helping, like a PTA, helping out at the schools, anything that's tied to the children, the family, doing things where she could interact with other people. And so we kind of worked through that and came up with some ideas for this lady to maybe implement that might be more aligned in what she's really down deep, what's important to her. We all do this, unfortunately, and we have to be aware that our values, our perceptions, our psychobabble, if you will, might not be in line with what's really important to our clients. Our clients all come in with their own set of values, priorities, things that are important for them to believe, religious, political, social, emotional, whatever that is. And if we're expecting them to kind of shift their priorities in life to accommodate us and our ideas, we will get a lot of resistance, and maybe rightly so. I find that too often, if we don't pay attention to what's most important to our clients, we also miss possible resources and strengths that can be brought in and utilized to help these people who are seeking us out for help, not to be reprogrammed in what's important to them, but as a way to reconnect them to what's important to them. So it's kind of like having the stereotypical business person come in, and that's their life. That's what's most important to them, and telling him or her that you need to, cut out so much time at the business and stay at home more. Maybe be a stay-at-home parent. It's the same kind of thing. You'll get the backlash, or telling somebody of a certain religious persuasion that they have to attend a different type of religious organization. It's just, I'm being a little silly here, but it's that kind of thing. If going out and working to help the environment is the highest value on that person, let's try looking at that, and rather saying, well, that's taking time away from this or cause a problem for that. How can we utilize what they're already wanting, what's already important in their life, in a way that we can kind of create new directives, therapeutic directives, to assist them, so that we're not fighting them, we're actually aligning with them, but maybe going in a slightly different direction that they're more open to taking. So again, we all have a life that's driven by our highest priorities, our highest values, and if we pay attention to those and align ourselves with those, sometimes life gets a little easier in general. I'll even argue that sometimes one reason people come to therapy is because they become so disconnected from their values due to social issues, family issues, whatever, that sometimes the way to help is just to reconnect them to those values. But anyway, just something that came up in my mind, and but at the same time, I think it's so crucial and important that we pay attention to those values and really get to know our clients and to honor them, because the person who's the most important person in the room, not us, it's them. Thanks. Have a great day.